Coco Gauff's heartwarming pledge. Half of WTA finals cash to support underprivileged kids in the U.S. It was a bright November evening in Arlington, Texas, and the 2025 WTA finals had reached its fever pitch. 8 of the world's best players stood poised to battle for the title, the trophy glinting under the lights like a symbol of dreams realized and destinies fulfilled. But that night, before Coco Gauff even picked up her racket, she had already won something greater, the hearts of millions. At the pre-tournament press conference, a reporter asked her the routine question, "Coco, what would winning the WTA finals mean to you financially and emotionally?" The 21-year-old leaned into the mic, her calm yet radiant smile lighting up the room. "If I win," she said softly, "I'm donating half of my prize money to support underprivileged kids in the U.S., especially those who need access to education, sports, and safe community spaces." A stunned silence filled the room. Cameras clicked. Journalists exchanged looks of disbelief. And then the applause came, long, emotional, unfiltered. It wasn't just an athlete making a statement. It was a young woman making history with her heart. Roots of a champion. That night, as social media erupted with headlines and hashtags, hashtag Coco Cares, hashtag Champion for Kids, hashtag Play with Purpose, Coco sat quietly on her hotel balcony. She thought about home, about the cracked basketball court in her old neighborhood, where kids still played barefoot, about the local library where she used to study between practices, the one with flickering lights and broken chairs, and about the faces, children she'd met during community visits, their eyes full of potential yet trapped by circumstance. "Some of these kids could be the next Serena or the next scientist," she once told her mom. "They just need a chance." That belief had followed her everywhere, from the clay court to Paris to the hard courts of New York, from victory interviews to quiet plane rides where she'd sketch ideas for her future foundation. This wasn't just charity for her. It was a promise to her younger self. The inner circle. The next morning, Coco's parents and coach gathered in her suite. Her dad, Coco Gauff, folded his arms, pretending to look stern. "Half, huh? That's a big number, champ." Coco smiled. "It's a big dream, Dad." Her mom, Candy, put a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "You've always given with your whole heart. We'll help you make sure it reaches the right places." Her coach, Per Reba, nodded. "Then we train not just for a trophy, but for every kid who needs you." That day's practice wasn't just about serves and forehands. It was a mission. Every ball hit the net with purpose. Every sprint on the court carried the weight of her vow. When Coco practiced, you could almost feel the invisible army of children she was playing for, their hope traveling through her like energy. The first match. Her first opponent was On Jabeur, the Tunisian magician known for her craft and creativity. The stadium was electric, filled with fans waving flags and holding banners that read, "Coco for the kids." The match was fierce, emotional, and long. 3 sets of artistry, power, and endurance. At 5-4 in the final set, Coco faced match point. The crowd held its breath. She tossed the ball high, served an ace down the middle, and dropped her racket. Game. Set. Gauff. The arena erupted in cheers. But instead of celebrating wildly, Coco placed her hand over her heart and mouthed, "For them." Chapter 5. The promise goes viral. By the time she returned to her locker, her phone was buzzing uncontrollably. Thousands of messages. Millions of mentions. LeBron James tweeted, "Heart of gold. Keep shining, Coco." First Lady Jill Biden posted, "A champion on and off the court, leading by example for our nation's youth." Kids organizations across the U.S. sent heartfelt thank yous. Schools in Detroit, Atlanta, and Chicago began organizing Coco Gauff Dream Days, where students wrote letters about what they'd do if they had more opportunities. Coco read a few between matches. One, from a 9-year-old named Tiana in Baltimore, stood out. "Dear Coco, I don't have tennis shoes, but I have dreams. You make me feel like they can come true." Coco folded the letter and kept it in her tennis bag. That became her lucky charm for the rest of the tournament. The battles that built her. The WTA finals are not for the faint of heart. Each opponent was a mountain. Iga Swiatek, the relentless tactician. Elena Rybakina, the silent powerhouse. Aryna Sabalenka, the emotional gladiator. Every match tested Coco's patience, power, and purpose. After one particularly grueling three-setter, she collapsed into a chair courtside, exhausted. Her body screamed to stop. Her legs felt like lead. But in her mind, she heard a voice, a child's voice from a letter. "You make me feel like dreams can come true." Coco stood up, tightened her ponytail, and whispered, "Not done yet." She won that match, too, the night before the final. It was the eve of the championship match, Coco Gauff versus Aryna Sabalenka. Outside, the Texas sky was painted in gold and crimson. Inside, Coco sat by her window, writing in her journal, something she always did before big matches. Tomorrow's not just about me. It's about showing that success means more when shared. I want kids to look at this moment and know they matter, that they belong. Her mom walked in quietly. Couldn't sleep? Coco shook her head. A return to roots. Months later, Coco visited her hometown in Florida. At the same old community center where she once practiced, kids now wore new sneakers and held new rackets, all funded by her foundation. She watched them play, laughing, shouting, falling, rising, just like she once did. Her dad stood beside her. "You see what you started?" Coco nodded, her eyes misty. "It's not about starting," she said softly. "It's about continuing." A little boy ran up to her and asked, "Miss Coco, do you think I could be a champion like you?" She smiled. "You already are. You showed up. That's where every champion begins." The legacy blooms. A year later, the Gauff Foundation had partnered with over 200 schools and community centers across the U.S. Over 20,000 kids had benefited from her programs. Scholarships were awarded, clinics held, and countless young lives touched. Her gesture had become a legacy, a reminder that one person's compassion can ignite nationwide change. At the ESPYs the following summer, Coco received the Humanitarian of the Year award. Her acceptance speech was short, but unforgettable. "This isn't about what I gave. It's about what we're all capable of giving. If every person with a platform uses it for good, imagine the world we could build." Epilogue: the heart of a champion. Years later, long after the applause faded and the trophies gathered dust, people would still talk about that promise. The night Coco Gauff decided to turn her victory into a voice for the unheard, the unseen, the forgotten. Her story would be told in classrooms, documentaries, and playgrounds across the country. Because Coco Gauff wasn't just a tennis player who won titles. She was a human being who lifted others while she rose. She proved that greatness isn't defined by what we keep, but by what we give away with love. And in the end, her legacy wasn't measured in dollars or trophies, but in dreams rekindled, hearts inspired, and futures forever changed. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.